This is part 2 in a 2-part series. If you haven't seen the first part, I suggest watching it. It provides a little bit of context. Hey there, Craze here, and today we're continuing from where we left off from the last video. The last video was dedicated to redesigning Twilight, Rarity, and Fluttershy, and this video will be dedicated to Pinkie Pie, Rainbow Dash, and Applejack. I said it in the last video, and I'm just gonna say it again, these redesigns aren't really story changey like some of my other redesigns. Most of these are really just for fun. I did mention a few ideas that I would have in the story just to explain a few redesigns, but that's about it in terms of changing any story beats. For example, I sort of introduced the idea of different species being part of the main 6, as well as a bit of an expansion on alicorn stuff, but I'm not necessarily changing the entire thing. If you want some redesigns that are more story involved, I would suggest my Husband Hotel redesigns or my Lunatics Unleashed redesigns. Both of those sets of redesigns have videos up on my channel, and I describe a few ideas that I would have. It's not like an entire rebuild of anything. Well, the Lunatics one is kind of, but otherwise it's not too crazy. Anyways, I don't want to do what I did in the last video and keep you here any longer, so we're just gonna get right to the redesigns. And we're starting off with our party girl Pinkie Pie. Now, she was really fun to draw, especially her poofy hair, which, yeah, you can see I had a bit much fun there, and I kind of took away her iconic hairstyle, but I still think it's cute. One thing you'll notice right off the bat is that I made her a Pegasus. This is a bit of a callback to original ideas for Pinkie Pie, where she was going to be a Pegasus, except I made her kind of like Scootaloo, where she doesn't have completely formed wings. I kind of thought it would be cute if Scootaloo kind of looked up to Pinkie Pie in that sense, where she also isn't able to fly properly due to her wings being too small. You'll also see that her ear shape is different and that her coat looks a little different, especially if you look by the hooves. That is because I wanted the Pegasi to have more defined features. I also gave her a bigger build just to add a bit of variety, as well as some bows and some colorful hooves. Something you'll see later on in the speed paint is that I give her a bunch of swirls throughout her designs. I thought it would be kind of cute to have that as her motif. Even if she technically has her cutie mark, I figured it would help just add to the overall bounciness of her design. I also kind of used the swirls as a sort of call to her kind of link to chaos. It's a little hard to explain. Basically, people theorize that she has some sort of chaos magic due to her being able to do things that the other ponies can't. It's much easier to explain if you watch the show or provide some clips, but I obviously can't do that in a YouTube video because this would be taken down right away. Anyways, as you can see now, I also gave her a little clown nose and some clown makeup, and also her cutie mark is like a little more colorful than it already was. I don't know, I just felt the need to go all out. I also realized she looks like a personified pansexual flag, and honestly, I feel like that's fitting for her. I feel like she'd maybe be pan. Anyways, here is the element of laughter, Pinkie Pie. I really love this design. Let's move on to Rainbow Dash. Now, if you're actually watching the video rather than half listening, you probably noticed something pretty major. That's not a horse. That's because I decided to make Rainbow Dash a hippogriff, which is basically like a griffin, but rather than having lion features, it has horse features. Now, you may be wondering why I didn't just go with a griffin, and that's because I noticed there was already the griffin conflict in the original show, so I figured it would make things more interesting if rather than being a griffin, Rainbow Dash was a hippogriff. You'll also notice that she has a prosthetic leg and some goggles. I added the goggles because I wanted her to just have some sort of accessory that was linked to flying, and I figured giving her a prosthetic that matched her goggles would be pretty cool. In her words, she would look 20% cooler. Also, making Rainbow Dash a hippogriff added some balance because I ended up making Pinkie Pie a Pegasus. Speaking of which, you may be wondering about Scootaloo. Scootaloo would also be a hippogriff, but she'd have a wing deformity that wouldn't allow her to fly. And through Rainbow Dash and also Pinkie Pie, she'd be able to feel better about herself and her disability. Also, if you remember old Brony fandom, you'd remember that there was a bit of a debate about if Rainbow Dash should really be the element of loyalty when she has closer links to honesty. And by making her a hippogriff, I feel like that would give her some sort of flock mentality that could help kind of swerve that sort of debate out of existence. And I feel like that could lead to a funny scene where one of the other main six says something like, well, birds of a feather stick together, and Rainbow Dash is just like, can you not say that? I also feel like she'd tinker with really important relics because, ooh, shiny thing, and then she'd almost cause complete danger by breaking them. Anyways, here is Rainbow Dash. Honestly, this is such a cool design. Like, I genuinely really like it, and I probably have a bird bias anyways. Let's move on to Applejack before I ramble. Everyone look out, it's a masculine presenting pony! And I'm about to tell you why that is. Now in the last video I talked about some of the differences between Earth ponies, unicorns, and Pegasi. And since Earth ponies would most likely be doing a bunch of groundwork, I wanted them to have a stockier build. I gave Applejack a shorter tail and a scruffier coat, as well as a bag and a little bandana, and so on. Other than Twilight, I feel like Applejack would be another voice of reason in the group. And also, with Applejack's general personality and being raised on a farm, I feel like there'd be a bit of that southern, like, kind of brutal, passive-aggressive honesty. So Applejack could be used to teach things like being honest without hurting someone's feelings, as well as things like communication and whatnot. Anyways, I do find it pretty funny that Rarity and Applejack are the two that pretty much stayed closest to their original designs. I think Pinkie Pie as well stayed pretty close to her original design. Oh well, even if it's still pretty close to the original, I really like this design. Anywho, this is Applejack's design, and it's a pretty simple design, but honestly, that's not bad. Now, if you're looking at the time, you may notice there's more to this video, and you may notice I did just say I was going to do those 3. That's because I'm a liar. I want to quickly go over a few more designs that I made, just as a bit of a bonus, because I really feel like that went by so fast, and I feel like I just want to share more. So let's consider this a bit of a bonus round, shall we? Like, not completely intended to be in this video, but I wanted to go over them, so I just did. And you may be thinking, who did I redesign? It was the princesses plus shining armor. I'm gonna be completely honest with you, these redesigns mostly just happened because I was on a horse drawing kick after this. So, I'm gonna start this off with Celestia because I want to get the bad drawing out of the way first. This drawing doesn't really do this design justice, but that's just part of the process. Now, if we're being technical, this is kind of the first redesign that happened, like, out of all of them, because I made this already for a meme. As a matter of fact, you probably kind of see it in really, really low quality in the corner there. I kept a lot of aspects the same. I guess I just wanted to go, like, extra, even more ethereal. I also kept in mind all the stuff that I already thought of for the alicorns. You'll see that I gave her design a lot of wispiness. I was mostly inspired by her mane for that. You'll also notice that I added a lot more color and a lot more detail and whatnot. I just really wanted to go all out. Also, if my voice sounds kind of bad right now, that is because I should probably take a drink of water. This is your reminder to drink water and also breathe while you're talking. Now that I'm back from my drink of water, you can see that I gave her a slightly pink coat as well as some orange accents. Now I chose pink because the toys that they make for Celestia are pink. I just went with a less obnoxious pink. I also made her cutie mark like span around her body, kind of like the older generation ponies did. I also wanted each alicorn to have their own respective medal, and since Twilight takes Celestia's place, she would also have gold accessories. You'll see that the others have different medals for their accessories and look slightly different. Anyways, that's Celestia. I wish I did a better drawing for her, but I kind of made this in a bit of a rush. I'll probably make a new drawing and I might add it at the end of the video or something. Anyways, let's move on to Luna. So this is kind of the part where you're gonna see who my favorite princess is. I really wanted to do something special for Luna because I just love her so much and I feel like she deserved more screen time. Anyways, Luna is a bit more rounded out in a way. Her hair is more mist-like than what I did for Celestia, and I honestly really like it. I also gave her a different hairstyle just for a bit more differentiation. I also gave her somewhat of a bat-like look on her wings because it would kind of link her to Nightmare Moon that way. You'll also see that she has beads on her tail and mane, as well as these more swirly-like bands, unlike Celestia's who are just solid. I had a lot of fun drawing this just because I really liked this. I say that a lot, but this design is just so pretty. And you'll also see that I gave her that marking on her cutie mark in a few more places, just to add a bit. I also ended up really loving the colors I used here. It just adds a sort of elegance to her. I also made all of her accessories silver instead of whatever was going on in the original, just because I thought it would really suit her. You'll also notice that I drew her with her eyes closed and black tears coming out. I wanted that to kind of be some sort of punishment as the Nightmare Moon thing. So basically she's always in a somewhat dreamlike trance, but she can still maneuver properly. And when she appears in a pony's dream, her eyes are properly open. So she's kind of living in a different dimension, but she's still present. And okay, yeah, I knew I said I wouldn't do a story changey thing, but I just thought that would be really cool, okay? I love doing random edgy things. But honestly, if I had to choose a favorite drawing from all of these redesigns, it would have to be this one. I just love what I did here. Twilight could also have an interesting dynamic with her in a way. Like maybe Twilight rehabilitates her after the whole Nightmare Moon thing. I don't know, there's just like so much about this that I really, really like. Anyways, that is Luna, the Princess of the Night. God, I love this design, I can't say it enough. Let's move on to Cadence. I remember when I was younger, I really hated Cadence's design just because there was so much going on. I just really did not like it for some reason. So basically what I did here was just making little me proud. You'll see that her hair kind of looks like Pinkie Pie's. I just felt like that would be a fun texture for the Pegasi to have. You'll also see that I applied it to the wings, which realistically wouldn't be that good for flying, but I feel like with her magic, she just kind of does it effortlessly. I also wanted to just add a bunch of rounder shapes to her design overall because of that like nice fuzzy feeling of love. It's all bubbly and nice and round shaped. But yeah, you see the presence of all those Pegasus features that shows you she was originally a Pegasus. And you'll see that this is the part where I played with the colors, and I ended up just landing on a color scheme of mostly pinks and a little bit of yellow. You'll also see that she has a somewhat realistic horse pattern going on as well. I did that with Applejack too. I just wanted more ponies to have patterns like that. And I also ended up making her jewelry rose gold just because it made sense with what I was going for. I also made her shoe shape have a heart motif as well as her eyelashes if you look closely. Overall, I really just wanted to give her a look that tells you this is the Princess of Love. I feel like I captured that pretty well here, not gonna lie. And just for the bonus of it, I'll also talk about Shining Armor. I didn't do like an official reference sheet for him, so here's just this little drawing that I made with the both of them. I made his coat a little more blue just so that he didn't have the weird eye thing going on that he has in the show, as well as giving him some highlights in his hair. I realized that I basically just did the blue boy pink girl thing here, but it does kind of work here. It could be worse. I also gave him a beard and some eye bags. I just feel like he'd be a burnt out little guy. And I feel like I have the right to say little guy when he marries basically a literal goddess. Anyways, this is Cadence and also Shining Armor. They turned out so cute. Anyways, let's move on to some final thoughts because I'm drawing out this video long enough. Thank you for watching all the way into the end. I know that I just did a lot for the span of 15 minutes, but I really wanted to share these redesigns without having to make a 3-part series. Honestly, this has been so much fun to do. Even if I made all of these drawings a long time ago, they were fun to make at the time and they're fun to talk about right now. I really hope that you liked them, and if you have any favorites, you can comment that down below, even if your favorites were from the last video. And also, I always appreciate feedback and tips if you ever want to share any. This has been Craze, and see you in hell.